Hey there, Marcus here. Today we're gonna do a little bit more complex workflow than usual. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to recreate Metacritic and how it works, but we're just gonna use Drupal and AI to do it very quickly. First of all, I'm just gonna create the data structure and how to fill the data in this case. So I'm not gonna show you how to style it, how to create the views and so on. The logic for aggregating values together, you can use views aggregate for that and so on. I'm not going to show that part. There's a lot of videos showing how Drupal works in general, so you can look at those. For this use case, I'm just going to show you how you can use Drupal to basically fill all the data that you need. So for people that don't know Metacritic, it's an awesome website for basically figuring out if a game is good or great or worthless and so on. Same for movies, TV show, music, and I don't know, they might have other stuff as well that's not here in the menu. So how it works is, compared to a normal reviewing website, it aggregates all the reviews and normalizes. So if one review site might have 1 to 5 as the rating and another might not even have actual numeric rating, they kind of normalize that to 0 to 100 and then adds an average of those. So you can figure out if something is really great depending on a lot of reviews and not just one single reviewer, right? And this of course means if something gets like close to 100, I think Zelda Ocarina of Time has 100 for instance, which makes sense. It's one of the greatest games ever, right? That means it's awesome. While if something has a low rating or an average rating, it might have been that one reviewer gave it a very good rating, but the others didn't, right? And for this workflow, we're gonna use, well, I will say first of all, so I said Drupal in the beginning. We're gonna build this in Drupal using the AI Interpolator. That's what all my videos are about. If you don't know Drupal, it's awesome CMS, CMF. It gets you started very quickly to set up a website, especially data heavy website, data structure heavy websites. It's open source, it's free. Anything I show you, you can just start doing after I showed it, and you can set up a copy of exactly what I do. So the modules we're gonna use, and that I already installed is then the AI Interpolator OpenAI. So we're gonna use that basically to get a summarization of oh, I forgot to say what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do this on games and so on. I have some Berlin restaurants here that I'm gonna do it on. So say that I want to create Metacritic but for restaurants in this case, right? So we're gonna use it to summarize a short couple of sentences about the restaurant. Then yeah, what it's also gonna do, what's more important, than it's gonna normalize the rating, so do semantic analysis. We're gonna use AI Interpolator SERP, so that creates search results from a search word. In this case, what it's gonna do, it's just gonna create a search result for the general search term, so I can create a summary like I was talking about, without actually having to copy and paste or write something myself. Then we're going to use ScrapingBot. ScrapingBot is for scraping websites. What's unique with ScrapingBot compared to using curl or guzzle or something is that it can run headless. So it can run a browser that can run against headless websites, which means that a website that requires JavaScript, so if it's written on React or Angular or something, it can actually render this. So there is a simple crawler if you don't want to pay ScrapingBot, but that it has advantages because it can run locally and it's a lot faster, of course, but it also has a lot of or has this big disadvantage that it's not an actual browser and you can't run it from different countries and so on unless you set up proxies yourself. The last one is AI Interpolator screenshot. So we're gonna take a screenshot also of the websites we review, and this could be good for proving that they actually wrote what they did, because maybe the article goes down, maybe they changed the article, right? So you have a screenshot of how it looked exactly when you did the normalization of the rating. just to showcase it, I'm gonna use the address module, so you don't have to type in address for every restaurant. It's gonna find that by itself. There is another video where you can see how to actually map this on Google Maps and so on, but in this case we're just gonna create the address structured. Token module is needed to have token for advanced prompting in Drupal. I'm not actually sure if we're gonna need that, but it's good that you're aware of it as well, so you can do a lot more advanced prompting where you can use many fields together in a prompt instead of just using one field as the context. So let's get started. I'm just gonna log in then. So as I said, so this is running locally. It's just a base Drupal setup with these modules. I have the admin toolbar here to make the toolbar nice as well. I've also set up all the API keys, so that you do on the configuration web services, all these ScrapingBot, SERP, screenshot one, except for OpenAI, because it's using the OpenAI module, so it's OpenAI settings to set that up. And that's it basically. So this is the only thing I have done, gotten the modules using Composer, and then set up the API keys. So let's get started then. So we're gonna add two different type of content types in this case. We're gonna have a content type that's the restaurant, and that's the overall restaurant, and then this will have different reviews connected to it, right? So we start with the restaurants, and this will have a title field that's called name. And here there's a lot of settings that you would normally care about if you were setting up the website end to end. How to do that in Drupal, there's thousands of videos on YouTube you can search. So I removed the body field because I'm not going to create a general article. What I will add first is basically a search field. So this is going to be a formatted text, we have to give it a label. We call it search word. So this is basically what we need to search for to find the address, and also to find some about text, right? And we just set the full HTML. Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing there as well. I'm gonna set this required, because that's one of two fields that you will have to fill out, and the rest you should not really have to fill out. So the next thing we want to do is add a address field. Sorry, I forget this, restaurant address. So this is gonna get filled out automatically now. So we're gonna turn off that we need first name, middle name, last name, because these are not people. Instead, organization name, the restaurant name is required, right? And then we're going to use enable AI Interpolator, and we're going to use the rule that's called text address finder, and this uses base mode, and it uses the search word, and I'm just going to copy this. So basically what this is saying is, from the search word, oh sorry, there I copied too much, just this, from the search word, that is the search word that we add, find a place in using Google Places, so that's why we add the API key, and get the address and store it basically. We're gonna use batch mode in this case. We use GPT-4. So batch mode is basically so you can see the different AI jobs running one after another. So if you just have one job that's very fast, this is not required because you can use direct. So it's just when you click save on the saving the entity, it's just gonna happen. But you might have timeout and so on the server, so you want to split it up into a queue where you see it happening, right? GPT-4 is just because it's better at understanding stuff, which is important in this case. So we do search for, right? And then we're going to create the next field, which is going to be links, and this is going to be search links. So we're just going to take the first three links that we find, and we're going to scrape those, and we're going to use that as context to create a summary, right? So we enable AI Interpolator in this case as well. We do SERP to link, This has a lot of settings, but the most important is what do you use as the base field. So that's search word. And what is important otherwise is, of course, if you're on a specific market, you should maybe not search from US or in English. So you can set all that up, but that's not so important in this case. Once again, we do batch, set 100. So in this case, the weight is going to be important because we need to do this in 3 steps basically. First, we need to find the links, right? Oh, there's one thing I forgot there. Search results. Okay, no, that's set automatically, right? So we're going to find the links. Second step is that we're going to scrape it. Third step is we're going to use the scrape data to write a summary. So because of this, weight is important. So the next step is that we're going to scrape it, right? So to do this, we use formatted text, text formatted long, and these are basically HTML bodies, we can call it. And this is important that we have at least 3. I mean, I just set to unlimited now. So because there's going to be 3 links, we have to have as many bodies to scrape from, right? Set this to full HTML, enable AI Interpolator, and we're using ScrapingBot crawler in this case, base mode still, and we're going to use the search link as the base field. So that's what we're using to scrape. We're going to use Chrome in this case. That's important, right? That we're using a browser. You can set wait for network. Maybe someone set it up in React really poorly or so on, and it takes time before it actually renders. This of course takes longer to run, but that's okay in this case. What's important is that we use article segmentation as crawler mode. So you can do raw dump to get the whole website, but we don't care about the menus and stuff. You can use HTML selector like jQuery to just select a specific part, but in this case we're using the Firefox readability library. So that's the thing in Firefox. If you ever went to an article and you just wanted to see the text of the article, this can figure it out. So in this case, this has to happen after we have the links, right? And we're going to use batch mode again. So we're using 101, a little bit higher than 100, so it happens later. And then we're going to have the last thing, which is the description then. And we're going to use text formatted long for this as well. And this can be 1. And we're going to enable, so we set this to full HTML. We're going to enable AI Interpolator. We're going to use the OpenAI text long in this case. We're going to use base mode, and no, in this case I think we use token actually, because we don't want to run through them one and one. We want all of them, right? So this is the advanced mode then. So we're going to go to nodes and find our HTML bodies field. And we're just going to copy the whole thing. Oh, I have to press here first before I copy it. And this is going to be the context then, right? So this is going to be all the bodies together in one big blob. And then we just write here, based on the following data, generate a 1-paragraph, 3-sentence description of the restaurant, and then we're just gonna copy the title in here because that's the restaurant title, right? Let's write context actually, based on the following context, and then it's gonna create this, right? For this we're gonna use Turbo 16K, I think, to save some money, because that's usually kind of good at writing small descriptions. It hopefully has the context length that is needed for reading these 3 articles. It depends on how long they are, of course. Worst case, you have to use like GPT-4 Turbo Preview, for instance. That's, I think, is 32K, or we can use GPT-4 just so I don't get stuck on this and I get a warning message that the context length is too long, right? So we're gonna set batch mode, and this has to be 102 because this is the last thing that happens right then. And we're gonna save this, and we can start by trying a restaurant now then. So I'm gonna add a restaurant, And what we're gonna do is use Mustafa's Music Kebab. So it's one of the most popular dinner places in the world. It's, I think personally, a little bit overrated, but if you're a tourist, it might make sense to visit it if you go to Berlin. So you see there's a lot of fields here that's just empty. I'm just not gonna fill those out. Those are gonna be filled out now then by AI. So we get a description in the end and we get the address basically. So if I click save now, you see it's gonna start working here nicely. What I can do in a new tab while we're doing this, I'm just gonna set the manage display of the restaurant so we don't have to see the HTML. We don't care about the search links or the search word, not these links as well. So we're just gonna show the restaurant address and the description on the output of it, right? So this is gonna take some time now. Especially finding out the address can take some time for sure. So now it's finished with the first, the second, then the third one is should be scraping, of course, which will take some time because it's actually going to the website, make sure that they have finished rendering, scrapes it and stores it, and then last thing now it's gonna write a description then of one paragraph if everything works out as it should be. Okay, so this output was not perfect, so what you can do here basically is that you remove the description here and resave, then it's gonna run this job again. So this is one of the reasons why it's still in beta. I'm trying to basically get better stability. So I'm not gonna stop this workflow here. So it is a little bit realistic to the current status of it. So this could happen to you, and then you know what you can do as well. So it got a description, it got the restaurant address, right? And this I know, Merringdam 32, it's the correct address. So what we're gonna do now is to create the second thing then, which is the reviews. And yeah, what we need to do in this case is, so because we use content types, title is required, so I'm just gonna keep it there. We are gonna have to manually fill out something basically. So we remove the body once again. So in this case, what we basically need to give is a link. So this is the link that we're gonna get the review from. It just needs to be one. It's a required field because it needs to be filled out. And then this is gonna scrape, of course. So we take formatted text, text formatted long, and HTML body in this case we call it, because it's only one. We enable the AI Interpolator, ScrapingBot, and it's using the link. Same thing as before, we use batch mode. Get the actual article and nothing else. And now then we're gonna set a number on this. We're gonna set a rating. So we just set rating. So it's gonna read through this review now and set a rating on it, right? There's of course a lot of other stuff we could get here that I'm not gonna show you using the AI Interpolator. So you could get the title of the actual URL we're going to. You could get the host name, so you know which place it is that's reviewing it, so you could group those together, so you could see a view like what's the typical review of this web page and so on. But I'm not gonna show in this case. So we do minimum, maximum 0 to 100. We're gonna use OpenAI integer. Base mode is okay in this case. We're gonna use the HTML body, and what we can do here is we can just copy this, because this is basically the example placeholder is pretty okay here. Based on the content text, add a sentiment rating between min and max. So you can see here min and max is the numeric value basically of the minimum that we set here. So this is just going to be replaced by 0 and 100. where 0 means really negative sentiment and max means really great sentiment. Answer with a full number, and context is then this HTML body. This is of course not a perfect prompt, because if you want it to always respond similarly, you need to give a longer prompt with a lot more context, like maybe give some background who this person that actually sets the sentiment is, give examples on what good and bad sentiment is in this context and so on, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna do the simplest here. In this case, we definitely need GPT-4 because it's a lot better at semantic analysis. We need to set 101 because this has to happen after we scraped it. In this case, we can give an OpenAI role as well. So you have seen this as well. You are an editor of a restaurant meta review website that tries to normalize reviews into a rating of 0 to 100, right? So this is also important to give some background who the person is, right? In this case, it's important. When you write a summary and so on, it's probably not that important unless you want it in a specific language. I can also say OpenAI moderation. I made it possible to turn this off. There's never a reason to turn this off. What this does is it checks against a moderation endpoint that OpenAI has beforehand to check that what you're gonna send is actually not against their policies. Because what could happen when we automate everything, so there's stuff one after another. So take the description part, right? It searches for Mustafa's music about Berlin, but somehow by mistake it might find I don't know, something about what's happening in Israel right now, which might write something that goes against the policy of what you're allowed to prompt into OpenAI. And if you do this often enough, you actually lose your access to it. So just keep this on, because this will basically, if that happens, their moderation endpoint will say that this is not allowed. You will get a warning message in Drupal that this got stuck on the moderation queue, and you don't get a result basically because of this. I will show as well that I will create an image in this case, because, so it's file upload images. We want to take a screenshot as well. So we have a screenshot saved of it, right? So there's once again a lot of CMS settings, not important in our case. We don't want the alt field. We enable the AI Interpolator, take the rule, screenshot one image. And we can say width and height here of it. But in this case, we're just gonna care about width. So we can take 1280 is enough. We don't have to make it bigger, but we're gonna do full page. So this is gonna take a full page screenshot. What's cool with screenshot one, and the reason I'm using them instead of a lot of other services and why I create a module for it, is that they remove the cookie banners, which is super important, because otherwise you just get a screenshot of a cookie banner basically. It's using the link base field. In this case, we don't have to set a wait, but we set batch mode anyway. Save it, and then we're gonna be able to create a review as well. So we're just gonna take this. We have to set a title, so I just copy this, and that's basically what we need to fill in. The rest is gonna be filled in automatically. It's gonna set a rating, it's gonna create a screenshot, right? Okay, one field I forgot now is this has to be connected to the restaurant, of course, so you have to use a reference field in Drupal. But once again, that has nothing to do with the AI Interpolator. That's something you can figure out yourself by watching other videos, how Drupal works basically. If we wanted a representative image of the restaurant as well, we could use OpenAI or Dream Studio plugin to create stuff as well. So now you see it's showing the HTML body. That's what I removed the last time. That's not something we actually care about. So I'm just gonna remove this, and I'm gonna show you, by the way, or I did show you that it was scraping stuff, right, from the SERP results. So I will just show rating and screenshot, right? So we just remove the links. We can just, we don't have to show, oh sorry, this is what I'm looking for. So we're just gonna show a thumbnail, and this, if you click on it, we can see the file. So let's reload. So it got rating 85 because Berlin's best kebab. This is a very positive review. Then there's a screenshot here you can click on, and you see you have the screenshot of the website. We can take another one just to show you that this is working. I found another one that is far away from my must list. So this is similar to what I said. It's kind of overrated. So we're just, oh sorry, I copied the title first, which is what I wanted to do. Just copy that and then copy the URL, and we're gonna save this, and hopefully the rating should be, well, under 50, I guess, at least. It's not a super critical review, but it's definitely not saying that it's Berlin's best dinner. That is what some people says about it, right? Yeah, so you see rating 25, pretty low, and a screenshot that you have. And then you can, I guess, can show you in edit, you can see that it also store the actual review completely as it is, right? And now, of course, there's a lot of steps in Drupal. You need to connect this to the restaurant, you need to create views, you need to design it, but you already have the grounds for creating your restaurant Metacritic website, in this case, without a lot of editorial work. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, just feel free to start using it, and happy usage. Thank you for watching.